This is part 2. Does that mean you have to watch part 1? No. You should go live your life the way you want to. Moving on. Speaking of people forgetting me, there was this one time I pretended to be intelligent and somehow successfully passed a high school admission interview. Now, I know I did, for sure, because they told me I did. They congratulated me and said, "We'll see you when classes begin." I don't know how you can get any more straightforward than that. However, when they released the official final list of successful candidates, my name wasn't on it. So I sat alone in the dark and decided that I had irrevocably failed at life. While my father called them up, just to make sure, because we had conflicting information at hand. He ended up speaking directly to the principal of that school, and let me tell you, this demon lady had dragged herself from the burning depths of whatever hell exists, with the sole purpose of being a villain. She was convinced that I'd been making everything up. She spent the next few minutes screaming, yes, screaming, that not only had I not passed the admission interview, but that I hadn't even attended it. Like it's bad enough that you're going through some kind of tragic memory loss event, but must you be so terribly rude about it? Of course, I was vindicated. Turns out I hadn't lied. I had shown up and I had been selected and I had been told that I had been selected. I still don't know exactly what went down in the administrative office that day, but apparently they just forgot about me at some point between making the selections and posting the list. At least the demon that possessed that principal cared enough to apologize, so count your blessings, right? Then, there was this one time we had a newly formed group chat for some college class project, activity, something. It's been a while, okay? And on the second day of being in the group, I awoke to see that the topic of discussion wasn't our project, activity, whatever. It was a classmate that hadn't joined the group yet for some reason. Were they simply a horrible, lazy person who didn't want to do any actual work? Were they being excluded for some reason? What was going on with this person? I wish I knew, because the person they were talking about was me. And here's the fun part. I was obviously seeing everything they were saying because I'd been in the group all along. I'd been pretty active and had added to the conversation quite a few times already. But super fun that everyone forgot. Very cool. Then, there was a former teacher I met a short while after graduating. Considering we'd been discussing exam papers just a few months ago and, quite uncharacteristically for me, I decided it would be polite to smile and say hi. And she just kind of stared blankly at me before turning around and speed walking away. Oh well, I should have known. Small talk never was my forte. There was also this one time when my boss discovered that I would be showing up for my first day of work on the day I would be showing up for my first day of work. Prior to this, they did not know if and when I'd be joining them. In this case, though, he wasn't the one who'd interviewed me, so I think we can safely blame HR. But with everything else, it gets to a point. I've had to really stop and think about why. Look, I don't think my name's the issue. It's unique enough that I'm usually the only person in a room with it, but also basic enough that it isn't confusing. It's also not some outlandish word that makes people's brains reject it. So then, is it my face or just my presence in general? Well, no. In my long life, I've been told a lot of things about myself, not all of them good, but enough to confirm that most people typically do perceive me and have opinions of me. So, ignoring these blips, I have a tangible firm check. So then, whatever could the reason be? Sometimes, In my more dramatic moments, I like to imagine that the universe, personified, just doesn't care for me. Or maybe I am just unimportant enough that some fantastical interdimensional being keeps accidentally removing me from certain points of my timeline, and they just don't bother fixing anything afterwards.
Little Blobby, you shouldn't be playing with that. Let's put it back in its place.
In conclusion, there is no conclusion. There is also no moral to this story. After listening to it, you have learned nothing. And you know what? That's part of life. Not everything you experience will have a lesson attached. If you haven't forgotten about me yet, there is something I'd like you to do. Please, go beat up little interdimensional Blobby. I hate that dude.